So I want to talk about the problem of what I call fast yeses. And fast yeses are things that affect people in sales. And sales also broadly again relates to anywhere where you're trying to convey something that's persuasive. So where someone says, okay, I get it, almost too quickly, there's a couple of things that you need to be mindful of. So fast yeses are only, and when I say fast yes, let me define the terms. When you suggest or ultimately try and persuade someone of something, this is why we should do it. If someone says yes too quickly, the only environment in which they can say yes quite quickly is when they are already an expert or very knowledgeable on the thing which you wish to communicate. And typically, when you're trying to convince someone of something that's different from a path they've previously been on, a fast yes can often lead to buyer's remorse, where they say yes too quickly and they later regret it because they haven't thought it through. They've acted on impulse. That's bucket number one. Bucket number two, a fast yes can often be a function of not really understanding what's happening, but just wishing to either end the call or being distracted. Or bucket number three can be thinking that they understand, but having said yes too quickly when you know it's a concept that might be new to the prospect or the person, realizing that they've not quite understood ultimately what it is that you're trying to communicate. And this can happen in all manner of conversations. And the way overall to avoid that is to aim for the slow yes or the long yes, where you offer confirmation and explanation in multiple different ways of fundamentally what it is you're trying to convey. This is why books are the length that they are. 20% or 80% of the value in books is delivered typically in the first 30 pages. The message doesn't change. Wake up at 5 a.m., join the 5 a.m. club. People have been saying it for years. Wake up in the morning and exercise. People have been saying it for years. Why do they spend a lot of time repeating it in different ways? Because you want to leave an indelible stain in someone's brain lest they forget. And this is why when you're in business, what you want to optimize for is the length of the yes. So when it practically manifests in different areas, when you cold call, you want a yes that typically spans more than 2 to 3 minutes. Typically more than five minutes plus is a better yes. Anything that's less than 5 minutes is a problem. I've seen across the course of my career a huge difference in the turn up rates when I started to get towards 10 to 15-minute yeses, because I was able to build rapport, keep the conversation going, have a chuckle, really explain the benefits, get active engagement from the prospect to such an extent that they absolutely turned up to the following call. The longer you optimize the length of the call, the greater the return is. The shorter the call, the shorter the yes typically leads to ultimately a diminishing return on investment. You get a decrease ultimately follow up or otherwise when you get a yes too quickly. And this is across every area of your life. When you are trying to convince someone to clean their room and they say, sure, we know that that's probably not going to hit home, which is why typically a parent will say, yeah, I don't think I'm really convinced by what you've just said. And isn't it funny how in business we accept something like that? We say, oh, okay, wow, I've got a great lead. And you think, well, you just said, yeah, that doesn't really mean anything. He could have been talking to you, typing, asking someone to put the kettle on, and yeah, sounds good. Cool. See you later. Yeah, sure. I'll be there. Amazing. Goodbye. Client. Oh, wow. We've got a lead. Lead doesn't turn up. So in all that you do, optimize for the long yes. And again, the challenge with it is it means that you need to know your subject matter better. It means you need to communicate better. It means you need to sell more. It means you need to be more persuasive. And it means you need to learn the art of saying the same thing in about 5 different ways, because that's what you're doing. That's where the analogies come in. That's where, if we take the example, we'll give you an example of a client that we've got where they have a ultimately oil or an oil fryer, and it's more effective than oil fryers that currently exist in people's kitchens, we need to find multiple different ways to say, wow, we've got an oil frying machine that's going to be way cheaper than the machine that you've currently got. You know that oil machine you've got in your, that's number one. You know that oil machine you've got in your kitchen, the one that you used to cook the chips with? Do you know that's burning so much money? We've got one that's so much more cost effective. It's basically like much cheaper for you. That's option number two. Option number three is imagine having the chips that you serve to your customers, the potatoes, anything that you fry being so much healthier and not giving your actual clients potentially cancer, according to the latest studies. That's bucket number three. And you can go on and you can go on. Do you see where we're going with this? That's the level of depth that you need to be able to give to people to optimize for the long yes, because different examples work for different people. So the only measure of safety is to have enough examples that will hit home for the relevant people. Some people say, you know what, I've got no children, so the concept of tidying the room has no currency for me. Some people will say, well, you know what, I don't know anything about oil fryers, so that concept has no currency for me. That's why multiple examples become important, because then you have a greater chance to determine understanding. This is why analogies work so well, because you can simplify the process. So then the fourth one with the oil fryer might be, imagine that, so Frank, long story short, by the time you're done with a sales call from one of my team, I promise you, you're going to have more customers, you're going to have happier customers, you're going to have better quality fish and chips every Sunday that you serve, and you're going to save money at the same time. Like, I guarantee you, this isn't a scam. We've got an oil machine that's going to absolutely blow your bloody mind. Can I just book a call in with Carla to discuss it? It's option number 4. Different examples work for different people, right? Some people optimize for, so that's why the multiple example element stands. And this applies to copy. This applies to every aspect of the content you create. Provide multiple examples. And one of the examples will hit home, which is why the short yes and the fast yes is the yes that I worry about. Always go for the long yes.